Hello, and thank you for joining us on this week's edition of Health 247 on Rapid Television, the program committed to delivering trusted health information, expert insight, and impactful stories that affect your everyday life. Today, we focus on a critical issue with far-reaching consequences for patients, families, and healthcare systems, that is, wrong drug administration. I am Josephine Bitrus. Thank you for staying tuned. Medicines are designed to heal, relieve symptoms, and restore health. But when the wrong medication is administered, the wrong drug, dose, timing, or method, or when the correct medicine is given incorrectly, the consequences can be severe. These errors may lead to prolonged illness, complications, permanent injury, or even loss of life, turning treatment into a serious risk rather than a cure. In the next few minutes, we take a closer look at what wrong drug administration really means, how and why these mistakes occur, the emotional and financial toll on patients and their families. Wrong drug administration occurs when a patient receives the wrong medicine or when the right medicine is given incorrectly. This can happen if the medicine is given in the wrong dose or the wrong patient via the wrong route, like injecting a pill meant to be taken orally or at the wrong time. Mistakes like these can occur anywhere from hospitals and clinics to pharmacies, and even at home. Busy work environments, poor communication among healthcare workers, drugs with similar names, and lack of clear information all increase the risk of errors. The most serious consequences are experienced by patients. Some may suffer allergic reactions, severe side effects, or drug toxicity. Others may receive too much medication, leading to overdose. In extreme cases, vital organs such as the liver, kidneys, or heart can be damaged. Sometimes the condition the patient came in to treat is left untreated, delaying recovery and potentially turning a manageable illness into a life-threatening situation. Beyond physical harm, patients often face fear, anxiety, and a loss of trust in healthcare providers.
Well, there are a lot of risks. Let me categorize it into three. We have the physical or the clinical one, where people will see. The psychological one is there, and then the financial aspect is also there. The clinical one, you see, we have adverse drug reaction, patient reacting to the drug, allergic reaction that are life-threatening, that can also endanger the life of such an individual. Organ damage, you see, like kidney, the liver, the brain, a lot of deformity, morbidity, and mortality is actually life-threatening. And the financial aspect, for a long stay, because the patient will need to be attended to, there will be more costs, more medication will be required, cost of long stay in the hospital because the patient needs to be taken care of. Then we want to talk about the psychological aspect. There's that fear, there's that anxiety, and at the same time, there's loss of confidence in the treatment given, and the patient will want to adhere to further treatment due to the residual knowledge of trauma that such an individual must have gone through, which at the end of the day will lead to treatment failure in future because patients will want to adhere to medications that are given to him or her.
Medication errors also affect families. Loved ones may experience emotional stress, financial strain, and lost work time. In severe cases, families may need to care for a relative who is permanently disabled or cope with the death of a loved one.
Well, for if you want to talk about that, once you talk about, let me go still take it down to categorizing it into the psychological aspects, the caregiver, this issue of they go through a lot of stress, they are frustrated, there's this anger. I brought my patient in, my relative is there, especially for the elderly and children, the parents that are actually there. You see them displaying sort of being tired of taking care of them, of such a patient, and at the same time, the loss of confidence in them. In the social aspect, you find out that the family, there's this disunity among family. The family is here, and for case of disability, there's this dependence on the caregiver. Then you find out that for such an individual, they will not even be able to go to work. They'll be there in order to take care of the patient. And the financial aspect, there's this strain on the finances, especially if the caregiver or the one that has been affected is actually the breadwinner. So it's a holistic strain on the family. The family is a disunity, there is pain in the life of the family. That unity, the normal routine in the family, that cycle is broken. So there's a lot of strain on the family with regards to medication error. And the patient, the caregiver, I tell a lot of people, for one that is sick, is a caregiver that goes through stress. There's that burnout. There's loss of revenue, loss of manpower, because that at that particular point in time, the caregiver is not able to go to work. So both loss of manpower, loss of revenue, and even burnout on a strain in the case of the caregiver, because of the responsibility that such an individual, the family, is saddled with.
Healthcare workers involved in these errors often feel guilty, stress, and emotional trauma. They may also face legal consequences or damage to their professional reputation. This outlines the importance of creating healthcare systems that focus on safety and prevention, not blame.
Well, you see, they go through a lot of stress. There's that fear. First, the health caregiver has emotional stress. There's an issue of emotional stress. There's professional embarrassment. There's professional embarrassment. And even there's this fear of litigation. A lot of people now, there's a lot of medical legal cases, fear of litigation. So in that regard, such an individual, the professional, goes through the aspect of needing to reveal what has actually happened. And there's an increase in workload. More investigation will need to be done by the establishment and even the individual. So you find out, in order to get to the root cause of the problem, so more documentation will be required, more tests. And with this issue of Japa syndrome now, the workload and the work pressure will be much, but the overall is that lack of trust in the care that will be given to from the facility that such an caregiver and medical personnel is working.
Medication errors place a heavy burden on the healthcare system. They can prolong hospital stays, increase costs, and require additional treatment that could have been avoided. Doctors and nurses are stretched thin, diverting attention from other patients to fix preventable mistakes.
Well, like I said, in terms of service delivery, there's that lack of trust in the service delivery from such facility, or even in the healthcare delivery as a whole. And the burden of costs, more will be required to be able to manage complications that is arising from such outcome. And you find out that patient safety is undermined, the quality of care and also the health outcome is undermined. The healthcare sustainability in such an environment is compromised. So at the end of it all, there's will I say it will take a long time to be able. There's a reputational damage that is done to such to the healthcare space at such particular time.
In response, the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria (FCT) branch is collaborating with regulators and law enforcement to reduce cases of wrong drug administration in the Federal Capital Territory. They are working with the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) to shut down illegal drug markets and remove fake or substandard medicines from circulation, safeguarding public health.
Well, we have a PI unit called the Pharmaceutical Inspectorate that's a PI, it's a committee where the registrar is actually doing quite a lot, ensuring that you have the right personnel. And when you want to talk about ensuring that in most cases, pharmacists when you have the right personnel there, where you have pharmacists reviewing prescription medication reconciliation, and at the same time you review and validate. When you have the right personnel, when it comes to drug, pharmacists are actually, will I say, the authority. If you have pharmacists involved, clinical pharmacists involved in dispensing, administering medication to patients, this aspect will be taken care of, and the registrar will go round for routine, the committee go round for routine, will I say, validation of hospitals and premises to ensure that you have the right personnel there, and even drugs that are being brought in. The agency, in terms of regulation, you have NAFDAC regulating the products, the medications that are coming in, and you have the Pharmacy Council through the body that regulates even the personnel itself. The personnel is being regulated by the council, the Pharmacy Council, while the product that is coming in, and we all know NAFDAC is actually everywhere. There's this slogan of theirs that says, when you see something, you say something. And it's not just left for just the pharmacy space alone. Even the patients can also aid in ensuring that when something is seen that is not right, they should act. The issue of surveillance should also come up, and such reports should be made public, made to the right appropriate authority.
The public is advised to obtain medicines only from registered pharmacies and to consult licensed healthcare professionals for proper prescriptions and administration.
In that regard, there's a committee that is formed, and in that committee, I am there. The technical arm, we have the technical arm. The committee comprises of members from the council, the association, the chairman, and other technical group, especially the chairman of the community pharmacists. And we have other bodies that are involved in there, where we have, the thing is even decentralized, that you have zonal coordinators that work hand in hand. We have workshops that are being carried, and we have this mandatory continuous education that the council is arranging. It's been that the council organizes annually for an update in order to keep ourselves appraised with, will I say, the global best practice, where you need to know that in administering drug, you have 10 rights. There are 10 rights of administering drug, where you have the right patients, the right medication, the right dose, the right timing, the right duration, you have the right indication, you have the right response, the right education, and you evaluate. You need to evaluate because you need to educate the patient and ensuring that all these are measures put in place. That's the standard operational measure, proof safety measures to administer medication. That's why you need a pharmacist to be there to review medication and at the same time ensure that the prescription that are coming out are being validated before drugs are given to patients. We also have the use of leveraging the use of technology. There are measures that have been taken. We have the electronic prescription now, where by the time the prescription comes, the pharmacist will have to go through it. Then, in terms of storage, we store drugs that look alike. There's this look alike, sound alike medication that one needs to. There are measures that are being put in place that will ensure that these drugs are segregated. Using the use of barcode, where I talk about leveraging on technology to ensure that the right medication is given to the patients.
Health experts recommend several measures to improve medication safety, including accurate prescription processes, proper drug labeling and storage, double checking high risk medicines, patient education, and the use of technology to reduce errors.
It's issue of education, which is they say you educate an individual to make an informed decision that will improve his or her own quality of life. This education does not limit to when you have an opportunity of being one-on-one with the patient. But we go to churches, the mosques. From school, it starts from school. In educating the children, you don't use medication. All drugs are poisons. That's even the label. Because by the time you're ordinary taking paracetamol, you see, that will relieve pain. For somebody that has a hepatic problem, paracetamol is like taking a poison for such. So you see, there are conditions that one consider before medications are taken, and it's all about educating people. And when people come, especially to the rural area, we have seminars that have been arranged by the smaller group. They come from the community aspect, and this trickles down to other units. In terms of wrong drug medication, my message is we are humans. Definitely there will be errors. But when these errors occur, they shouldn't be swept under the carpet. First, let it be made known. Analysis should be done so that people can learn from the mistakes that has occurred, and measures also should be taken. But by the time you do an analysis, you will see where there are loopholes, where failures, what actually led to such errors. So with that, I know measures will be taken. And in terms of self-medication, you don't need to self-medicate. Well, I would say the president is actually trying. Attention is being drawn to the health aspect, and other primary health facilities are being activated. And the country is so, will I say, we have, for every community you will see a community, a pharmacy outlet. Go get the right, go to the right source, get yourself tested, go see a physician before you take any medication. There are cases, even from the community aspect, we refer patients when there is need for referral, haven't seemed to manage minor illnesses. Referrals should be made for proper management of illness. You want the difference between over-the-counter medication And also, so in that regard, we have that's why we have pharmacy outlets. There's difference between a chemist, having a chemist, a small chemist, and a pharmacy outlet. That's over the counter drug, the simple drug like paracetamol, your cold preparation, Piriton, and the rest. You can get them from most chemists. But in a premises where you, and that's why we have our new sign. For any premises, you see the new sign, the pharmacy new sign. The pharmacist is there as long as there's a pharmacy in a premises. Prescription order drug should come with prescription before such medication are dispensed, and that is where you have a pharmacist in there in manning such premises. But for over the counter, for chemists, they are not expected to have such medication like antibiotics, antihypertensive, and the rest. Like I told you, the PIC, the Pharmacy Inspection Committee, we go out on monthly basis. Regulation to regulate most of these premises. There have been there's this continuous education seminars is given to them, lectures on quarterly basis, annually. The one we did at the last quarter of last year, I was one of the resource persons to educate them, for them to know their scope of practice, and they are being regulated. There's this regulation by the council. They know their limit, and seizures, closures. Some of those premises are being sealed. Some seizures have been made when they go beyond their scope. So in terms of FCT, I want to say there's a stringent regulation to that aspect.
Medicines are powerful tools in modern healthcare, but they are only effective when used correctly. Administering the wrong drug, the wrong dose, or at the wrong time can cause serious harm, not only to patients but also to families, healthcare workers, and the healthcare system as a whole. By staying informed, asking the right questions, and following established safety guidelines, medication errors can be reduced and lives can be saved. Thank you for watching Health 247 on Rapid Television. Join us next time as we continue working toward better health for everyone. Until then, eat well, stay healthy, and take care.